Hey guys, thanks for joining me today as we're going to review how to install one of our 15-inch front brake kits. And what we mean by 15-inch kit is that it will clear a 15-inch rim. So we actually use a 12-inch round rotor with a 4 or 6 piston caliper, and that will all fit when assembled inside of a 15-inch rim. The only time that we do see some issues is if you're running a double bead lock wheel. So you have a inner bead lock, and we want to check that diameter before you go and purchase the kit, just to make sure that that is going to clear. And instead of doing this on a truck today, we actually just have a knuckle here. So this is off on a 3rd gen Dodge, and this is stripped down, which is what you'll need to do to start the install. So you can take the caliper mount, the rotor off, and then you're going to actually have to take the unit bearing out. So you'll take the nut off, take the bolts out of the back of the knuckle, and you can actually take the unit bearing off. So for this kit to work, the rotor hat and the rotor actually go on the back side of the unit bearing, and they're held on by the studs. So we're going to go ahead to start the install and press the studs out. The hat will slide on. So it's going to slide over, and we're going to put the studs through the holes and back into the flange. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll continue on with the install. All right, so we're back. So we press the wheel studs out. We put the rotor hat on and press the wheel studs through the hat and back into the flange. Now, on some of these aftermarket unit bearings, you will see we had to do it on this one, is we had to grind about 20 thousandths off of the each ear of the unit bearing. We've gone and made these hats as the opening as big as we can. Some of these aftermarket unit bearings will clear, some of them do not. So you can go ahead and just grind those ears down for the extra clearance. Again, you might not need to do this, but it is not uncommon. The way that we get the 15-inch rim to clear is by having this hat on and the rotor. If we were to have a slip-on hat, so the hat slipped on the outside, then the caliper could not sit in far enough to clear that rim. So we're just a lot of moving components to get into a large truck knuckle and unit bearing. So that is one of the things we had to do. Now you can bolt your rotor on to the hat. This attaches with the supplied 5/16 24 low profile socket head cap screws. And these rotors are dynamically mounted, which means as long as you put the 8 screws in and then tighten them up, they will self-center on this rotor head. Once these are in and you're tightening them, you can torque them to 18 foot-pounds. And you can use the supplied lock washers. So again, you'll torque these to the 18 foot-pounds. And once that is on, we have it on, you can go back onto your knuckle, which in this case will probably be on the truck. You don't need the dust shield on the reassembly, so that dust shield can come off. And you can go ahead and bolt the unit bearing back on with your stub shaft and put your axle nut on. Okay, so with the unit bearing back on the knuckle, with your stub shaft and your stub shaft nut back on, we go ahead and put the caliper bracket on. Now this is our Dodge bracket. GM looks a little different, but they assemble the same way. They're going to sit on the knuckle ears, and on your Dodge shut up, when they are on there, it will be vertical, kind of parallel with the knuckle. and you install your 5/8 18 bolts. Okay, with those bolts in, you'll torque those to 85 foot-pounds. So you can go ahead and use your lock washers and torque those. Our kits come standard with gray anodized calipers. I happen to grab one that is black and the wrong width, but you can see that they slide on. Slide your caliper bolts through and use the supplied 3/8/16 flange knot to secure these. So I'll go ahead and do that. All right, once those are on, you can go ahead and torque these 3/8/16 bolts to 35 foot-pounds. So you do both of those. When that's done, your pads can slide in through the top. So remove the cotter pin, slide your pads in, and slide the pin back through the pads. We get a lot of questions on what this piece is for, and this is actually a rotor simulator. So when you're done, if you need it to maintain the same width on the axle, the same track width, you can slide this on over the wheel studs, and that simulates the original rotor where it's at. So the wheel will sit in the exact same location. So if you don't need that, you don't have to use them, but it's there if you do. And the last thing you have to do on the front is hook up your brake lines. So we supply a stainless braided 30-inch flex line, 1/8 NPT to -3 AN fitting, which will go into the caliper. And then on the frame side, the clip and the fitting to adapt from your hard line to your -3 AN line. And that is how we install our 15-inch brake kits. As always, feel free to email or contact us with any questions and keep the orders coming in. Thanks, guys.